Before we get started for the committee, if y'all want to open up that A&SF budget committee request spreadsheet, we're going to get started in about probably 3 minutes here. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 9:08 a.m. Roll call and verification of quorum. Vice Chair Sherman.
All right, Chair Kaufman.
Present.
I'm here. President Blanco.
Here.
Vice President Benitez.
Present.
Senate President Quartz.
Present.
Pro Temp Mead.
Present.
Comptroller Drinkwater.
Present.
Chair List.
Present.
Chair Rose.
Present.
Senator Jones.
Present.
Senator Wanjin.
Present.
Student at Large Similo.
Present.
Student at Large Rooks.
Present.
Vice Chair Mundry.
Present.
Student at Large Aguilar Fuentes. And Senator Varela.
Present.
16 out of 15 quorum is verified.
All right. Take a look at today's agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda? All right. Open forum. Is anyone wishing to speak in open forum before we get started? Seeing none. Announcements from the chair. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. This agenda for the committee will mainly be used to easily navigate all of the documents throughout the hearing. Each entity has their presentation and their budget packet listed. And then the main spreadsheet you're going to want to have open is the A&SF Budget Committee Budget Request 2627 spreadsheet. There is an A&SF column, and that is what we will be filling out today. So after each entity gives their presentation, we'll be filling out that column. A lot of the numbers from the request will just get copied over, but we have a bunch of wish list items that we might have to add in as we see fit, and those are not taken account into the request. Entities will be given about 7 minutes to present, just to keep a strict time limit and make sure we have enough time for discussion for each entity. And then we'll enter a discussion period where y'all can ask any questions or give any comments about their budget, kind of LJR style where it's mixed into one. And then make sure to use the microphone when you're called on so that the live stream can pick you up. And when we are satisfied with their budget, someone can motion to move on to the next entity and they will be done presenting and we will move on to whoever is next. And then just to note that the recurring wish list request is less than the amount we have remaining in our recurring budget to allocate. So just we're going to take that into account when we're adding wish list items back into everyone's budget. Are there any questions for me? Seeing none. Announcements for the vice chair, none. Announcements from committee members. Anyone have anything to say before we get started? Seeing none. All right, we're going to get started right away with the Office of Student Involvement. You have 7 minutes to present your thing, and it should be, where's the mouse? The first presentation up there. And as soon as you get started, I will start your timer.
Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? I am not going to take my full 7 minutes on the presentation, and part of that is because as the Office of Student Involvement, you'll hear about, we support a lot of different student agencies, and so I don't want to necessarily take away some of their thunder and highlights that you'll hear a little bit later. But I do want to talk a little bit about the mission statement. So if you can move to the first page. So the Office of Student Involvement, our mission is really to support student success and enhance the campus environment. We do that by focusing on the creation of programs and services, in doing so with our student agencies that focus on service, leadership, and other spirited type of events. We have 3 core principles. The first one is connect. One of the biggest things that we do is help to connect our 70,000 students with this campus community. One of the things that we know that is if students are connected to the campus environment, they are more likely to succeed and be retained from freshman to sophomore year, and they actually graduate at a higher rate. So we are supporting the university's metrics and the division in helping to support graduation. So that first critical part and in our thing is to connect. How do we connect? How do we help them find their home? Whether that be through one of our student organizations, whether that be through a program or service one of our agency does, or whether that be connecting them to some of the other agencies that you fund, like the Recreation and Wellness Center, the Student Union, and some of the other things that they do. The next pillar in what we do is we talk about is involve, is we then intentionally try to create additional higher level opportunities to involve them, not just connect them so they can be connected socially, but help them to get involved in a leadership position, whether that be through student organizations, whether that be through the agencies and executive boards and committees that we have, whether it be through some of the intentional programming that we do. And this really helps students to empower them to really be active in their college experience and help them to develop those skills that our employers are looking for, whether that be conflict management, working with a team, budget management, those different types of things. And the last piece is the impact, is really kind of helping students to find their voices, helping students to continue to develop those skills and figure out how do they actually employ those skills that they have learned through their involvement through one of our many areas in the process. The next couple slides we're going to talk about, here are the areas that we support as OSI. So we support student organizations and support court as an agency. We have over 600 registered student organizations. A big shout out to Angeli and their team, because this year we also went through an entire reorganization of the RSO policies, which was a pretty heavy lift. In addition to that, that team is really helping the formation of probably anywhere between 30 to 40 new student organizations a year that we have. So we have some that come and go in that process. The other areas that we support up here is community outreach, service, and philanthropy. So we also help to support Volunteer UCF, which includes alternative break programs. We help support Night Fun, which you will hear from later today, but supports the Children's Miracle Network. Next slide. And then we have a bunch of areas that we support for events and programming. Homecoming, downtown student life, the campus activities board, graduate student life, nights of the Connection, which is our Connect campuses, late nights, Rosen Life. We also support College of Medicine in helping them with programming and things that they do in there. Creative Services, another division. They don't necessarily do a lot of programming on their own, but they are critical to the operation of our office. Is our productions team, which helps to produce a lot of the events that we do, video work, some of the live streaming that we do. Design Group, which is our graphic designers that help to create all of the graphics for all the events. And then Knights of the Turntables. I will tell you, Knights of the Turntables is a huge success story in OSI. You may not think about it, but this organization saves RSOs hundreds of thousands of dollars annually by, and us as agencies that get to use the service for free, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because we're not a for-profit model, but we're a service model in how we do that. Go ahead, go to the next slide. Before I jump into the budget, I will tell you this semester alone, I pulled the data, and OSI's areas we had of what we tracked, and a lot of times there's lots of little things like meetings or one-on-one things that we don't track. Events and programs, we had about 175 events and programs over the course of one semester. So the impact on our students is huge, and that impact was right around the 100,000 people and students impact range. So budgets. So the meat of why we're here, so I'm going to kind of jump into this, is just like everyone else, we requested no more than the 1% increase that you all had to do. A lot of our stuff has not changed drastically as a result of that. Most of the programs and services you'll see from comparative year, I wanted to make sure that we're maintaining the student-facing programs at the budget level that they were. So you'll see that all those remained the same. You'll see that we had, and you can go to the next page because it actually outlines each of them. You'll see that there's a slight increase in salaries. That is a result of some of the restructuring. Particularly one of the restructuring is the changing the position from a coordinator to assistant director actually in student government to help advise kind of the Senate, the Judicial, the Election Commission, and support student government as a whole. So that was one of the areas where the salary increased. The other is an additional in OPS for minimum wage. I will tell you, and I'm going to give a shout out to Carolyn in our office, Carolyn Morrell. We were able to this year, without increasing our OPS budget, actually open our office hours more than what we have budgeted for, because we are also trying to strategically recruit federal work study students that don't cost us anything. And so I don't know if you've noticed, but the Office of Student Involvement has actually, without really new money in this world, has expanded our office hours from 8 to 5.
30 seconds remaining.
To 8 to 8. And then expanded student government's hours on Thursday a little bit. There's a slight increase in operations. That is really a result of shifting, not really adding things to it. It's a shifting. So there's some things in creative services that were really operational expenses, like some software and licensing things. So you'll see that there was a decrease in downtown. That's just an adjustment in rent. The rent was actually shifted, and it's a little less than what we were paying. So we actually just decrease that. So it's not actually a decrease in supporting downtown. it's a decrease in the expenses related to it. And then a decrease in nights of connection. That decrease was really based on kind of, as we're analyzing it, what we're spending on those Connect campuses. And so night of connection is supporting the 13 Connect campuses that we have students at. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Does the committee have any questions for OSI? Questions, comments? Smilla?
Thank you, Shane. Motion to move to the next entity.
All right, there's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much. All right, next up is going to be the student union. I should have. All right. And you have about 7 minutes whenever you begin talking.
Well, welcome to the Student Union. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with the next slide. So just an introduction to what...
Can you make sure that your mic is on?
Oh, sorry, I thought it was
Awesome.
already on.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shane. Here's a list of the spaces that we oversee. We added a few spaces this year, including the Reflecting Pond, TCH Lawn, and classrooms, meetings and events that take place in classrooms. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a while. Our programs: event planning, event services, event production, guest services, Nights Pantry, Bike and Gold, and Nights on the Mall. So Student Union, everybody knows we're busy. We have a lot of people that come through here, 4 million people a year. We have about 150 student employees, and there's some square footage and ballroom numbers. For events, we had 21,000 bookings this year, with 54% of those being students. So mostly we serve RSOs. That's the majority of bookings that we have in the space. But then you can see 37% departments and then 9% public clients. So classroom reservations. So as of fall of 2025, we took over classroom reservations from the registrar's office. You can see we hit 9,400 bookings, which is a lot of bookings compared to our 21,000 bookings just in the student union. So it was more than we expected, a lot more than we expected. 7,700 total emails that we sent, which is insane. The good news is, and you all probably heard some bad things, maybe you experienced some bad things. I don't think there were that many bad things to experience, but the good news is we completed all the reservations within 2 weeks. Last year, the registrar's office took 5.5 weeks to complete the reservation. So I think there were some complaints this year about the timeline. We're going to change some things, communicate the timeline a little bit better with student groups next year, but it was better than last fall. It just wasn't the standard that I think students are used to when they deal with the student union. Nights on the Mall, probably everybody's familiar with, 2,000 plus annual reservations out there. Bike and Gold, we had 340 total bike rentals and 510 individual bike repairs that took place this year. Nights Pantry numbers continue to grow tremendously. 219,000 pounds of food. Y'all can read the numbers. 5,000 unique student visitors, I think, is the key number there. So 5,000 different people used it. Our only non-recurring request, this door probably looks familiar to you, is the student government front door. So we've been trying to put an ADA handicapped actuator button on that thing since we opened the suite in 2020. We've been unsuccessful for a number of reasons, but this year we are requesting the funding again, and I'm not going to promise, but I'm going to do my darndest if y'all fund it to actually get a button on that door. So hopefully we can. As far as our big picture budget this year, honestly, our budget could not be more boring year to year. There really is not much to talk about. So a 5% OPS decrease. I'll talk about that a little bit with the Pegasus Ballroom here in a couple slides. Maintenance and housekeeping is flat because, again, the Pegasus Ballroom. We've made a few adjustments here and there, really nothing of consequence to talk about year over year, with a 1% increase with minimum wage going up 7.5% or whatever it was. It's really same doing business, some cuts here and there. We're lucky with the Pegasus Ballroom adjustments that I'm going to talk about that that's going to help our budget and get us through there. And then we had a few staff salary adjustments for the classroom reservations. For for the people that are working hard, as you see on the reservations that we're making there. So our big exciting thing that we have going on right now is the master planning project, and that's phase one is anticipated to start in summer of 2026, which is really exciting. We have $16 million funded through Capital Improvement Trust Fund, which is not activity and service fee. This is separate money. And the first thing that you'll see happen, and this should happen hopefully in summer of 2026, is we will be replacing the skylight in the atrium. So for those that have looked up at the skylight, you probably have noticed these pictures highlight how it has really yellowed over the years. It's almost 30 years old and is in bad need of replacement. So it's gonna be something clearer that will allow more daylight to come in. It's really exciting, I think, for the atrium. As we built on the Student Union, there used to be glass all around the outside edges of the atrium, and if you stand in the food court now, you feel bright and light, and you look back in the atrium and it just feels dark. And so this replacing the skylight's really going to help with that. And then finally, last thing I have to talk about is the Pegasus Ballroom. So we are planning on this going offline sometime soon. Dates to be announced soon, but the exciting thing about that, well, it's not exciting because Pegasus will be offline probably for about a year once we go offline. And so the impact on campus of not having Pegasus is not great, but we're working on some alternatives for that. But the exciting thing from a budget standpoint is we don't have to set up, nor do we have to do any events in Pegasus Ballroom. So we actually will save some money. There, of course, is a loss of revenue from not having Pegasus as well, but that's where you see those OPS adjustments that we made this year. That's it for me.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for the student union? I do have one. Are you just able to kind of explain the like $150,000 decrease in revenue from the previous year?
Our revenue, mostly that's Pegasus. So about 100,000 of that is Pegasus. Revenue is really a moving target every year based on food sales in the food court, and depends on what the new hot restaurant is on campus, whether people come here or go across to Chick-fil-A or one of the many other restaurants on campus. So we're finding food court sales are a little bit down this year. To be perfectly honest, I think there's some service issues related with that. And so we're working on that as well. But most of that is Pegasus.
Gotcha. Are there any other questions or comments for the student union? Wanja?
Move to go to the next entity.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next we will move on to the Recreation and Wellness Center.
Good morning. Let me jump right into our presentation today. On behalf of all the folks at the Recreation and Wellness Center, I'm pleased to talk to you a little bit about our department and our budget request. In the next slide, we always start with our mission, and everything we do revolves around healthy lifestyles for students. Every decision, every choice we make is to help them each individually achieve a healthy lifestyle. The next slide shows our goals. Our goals are to develop a great team, keep everyone safe, make sure we're a place for everyone, and ultimately, again, achieve healthy lifestyles. The next slide continues to show in the most recent data that we've received that the more times folks use the rec center, the higher their GPA is, the more likely they are to be retained, and the more likely they are to graduate in 4 years. So all the metrics we do really help move that along. Some of the new staff, we had to replace a lot of staff over the last year. I do want to highlight Shay, who we stole from University of South Florida to come here at UCF. On the next slide is all our graduate assistants. And a cool thing there is some of them are a partnership with the DeVos School of Sport Management, which does not come out of our budget. And so they're able to help supplement us. And it worked out really well because right now we have an assistant director who's on military leave, and she's been gone since May. So several of those GAs have obtained her responsibilities to be able to kind of keep things running from a staff supervision and a facility management standpoint. And lastly, she got her own slide. She was our staff member that got promoted from a graduate assistant to a coordinator role. Some of the highlights over the last year, you can see numbers have increased for folks that are using the rec center, over 700,000 swipes in a year. And then as we go into some of our individual areas on the next slide, fitness, we just had our largest 5K ever, 930 participants in the Midnight 5K, which was a 44% increase from the prior year. In intramural sports, we've started to see some of our team sports trend back up. Some of our flag football, 3-on-3 basketball, those have trended back up. And also highlight student Isabella Price, who is really doing well as a sports official at a very high level, currently working at the Division II level for NCAA basketball. Outdoor adventure has had a couple big highlights over the last year. One is being another very successful paddle fest. Secondly, Lake Claire has continued to see a large increase in participation. And thirdly, we had our highest open night climb in event history in November. Success for downtown, we continue to be very involved and integrated in the facility. And one of the things we were proud of over the last year is we went into a membership agreement with the FAMU Law School students, where they pay a membership, much like the Valencia students do, to be able to get access to the facility, which actually helped some of our membership numbers from a revenue standpoint were down. And so by bringing them in, we were able to meet our membership goals and numbers for the rec center. So the budget breakdown, not a lot has changed over the last year from a budgetary standpoint. We really put in increases for utilities up to 3%, and we did the minimum wage increase of $1, and that did not meet the 1% increase. And so we had to go in and trim a few things to be able to make the budget work. If you look at the next slide, again, those are the two areas of increase. That's the only thing we increased, utilities and minimum wage. And then if you go to the next slide, a couple of things that we cut to make the budget balance is we've eliminated 3/4 of a year for a custodial superintendent. We feel like we're able to manage moving forward, minus that one position. And so we use that to help offset the budget. And then we also trimmed some money out of our OPS budget from intramural sports and from fitness. Intramural sports, it's some of the sports that haven't had as high participation. And so we feel okay with that. And then in fitness, we reduced some of our OPS staff to be able to make the budget balance at the end. Notable projects over the last year, just so you can see where some of the money is going. We did complete the roof replacement. Instead of doing a total replace of the roof at $3.5 million, we did a recoating, resealing of the roof, which comes with a 20-year warranty. And so we're very happy about that. Some of the items that were funded over the last few years, we did not move forward with and put that money back into the budget to help fund and provide money available for the FCA. But we are not moving forward at this point with the challenge course rebuild of $250,000 that was funded last year. We are not moving forward with replacing the lobby furniture at $52,000. And we've also not moving forward with the Wi-Fi replacement or enhancement. That was $1.1 million. Two reasons there. One is the cost came in at $1.6 million. That, as we look at things that we need to do, such as HVAC and stairwells and those type things, it's hard to justify doing that when we have some of the FCA items that are really outstanding. On this slide, from a notable project standpoint, you can see some of the things that are ongoing. We have the utility interconnect fee that we're required to fund through the university. This is year 2 of a 5-year funding request. We continue to seek funding for the artificial turf fields. It's $100,000 per year for 10 years for each set of 3 fields. And there's one set that's about a year and a half away from time to replace that. So it's good that we've continued to save that money through years to be able to do that. And then the program equipment line, that's a line that's used to keep the fitness equipment updated, outdoor adventure equipment updated, et cetera, to make sure there's money available when things actually need to be replaced. And also, so you're not hit with a sudden $600,000 request for fitness equipment that would be very difficult for you to fund. You're funding it over a time period to make sure it's sustainable. Real quick on the facilities condition assessment, these are some of the items that they're talking about doing over the next year or two with the funding that they get for FCA. The lap pool liner, it's what's called a Merthyr pool, and after a number of years, the lining of the Merthyr pool needs to be replaced, and that's coming up. Wood floor replacement on courts 1 through 4. Those who use the rec center know we have to occasionally shut down all the courts because the floor begins to buckle. We bring in an outside firm, they come in and fix it, but it's a temporary fix because the problem isn't something that can be replaced with what exists. It needs to be completely replaced. Tennis court lighting, entry stairs, concrete that's cracking. Those are all things that are part of the ultimate FCA report. So hopefully that has shed a little bit of light into what we've done at the rec center. I do want to give a shout out to Gary Cahan, who put most of this budget material together, and to Leah Freeman, who did the PowerPoint presentation. I'd been out a little bit, so they helped me with this, getting it all put together. So thanks, RWC team.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments for the RWC? Hamid?
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right, there's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing. Thank you very much. All right, next up we have Student Legal Services. I cannot read that. All right, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Patricia Dolahan. Is this on? It is, okay. And I'm an attorney and the director of Student Legal Services. So you can move to the next slide, please. So Student Legal Services has been in existence for quite some time. We were founded by the student government back in 1979, and we've been serving students since then. Our program is typically staffed by 4 full-time attorneys and 2 full-time legal assistants and student staff. The next slide. And we cover a wide array of issues. So landlord-tenant matters, those include things like eviction defense, disputing security deposit claims, defending claims and access of the security deposit, habitability issues and eviction defense. Criminal defense, we can help students who are charged with misdemeanors up to felonies of the 3rd degree. So those can include things that like DUIs, resisting arrest without violence, disorderly conduct, fake IDs, so those types of things. Most students do qualify to have their records sealed or expunged after the criminal case is concluded because they're not adjudicated guilty of the underlying offense, so we can help with that as well. Consumer issues, those are things related to credit reporting disputes, dealing with debt collectors, maybe breach of warranties. And then family law, we do some limited work like and contested the solution of marriage. So if both parties agree to everything, we can draw up all the paperwork, the parenting plan, the marital settlement agreement, all the orders that go with that. Also name changes and general advice regarding paternity, child support, and things like that. And then miscellaneous pretty much includes a wide array of things. We try not to say no to students. So if we think that we have the ability to help, we try to see them and do so. So miscellaneous can include things like drafting wills, power of attorneys, designation of healthcare surrogate, employment questions, auto accidents, insurance disputes, and things like that. We don't do student versus student. We don't do anything against the university. We don't do personal injury where the student is a plaintiff, just because there's plenty of attorneys to do that, and you can find an attorney on contingency basis without having to pay money out of pocket up front. Next slide. So last fiscal year, we opened 882 individual cases, and we scheduled 1,300 appointments for students. Over 50% of what we saw was landlord-tenant issues and traffic. Next slide. So this illustrates some of the savings to students. So the first 4 lines reflects like attorney's fees for certain cases that go to court, like name changes, Chapter 7 bankruptcies, divorces, and traffic and criminal. And then the monies recovered are monies that will return to students or students that have to pay out because they sought our assistance. It does not include things like just advice and brief services or other cases that go to court but not fall within one of those categories, like eviction defense would not fall there within one of those categories. Next slide. Okay, so next slide shows some examples of money that will return to students. So you can see a lot of landlord-tenant issues, landlord claiming $500 to replace a carpet when a student left. They like doing that. They don't account for depreciation or the condition of the carpet when it wasn't move-in. So really important to do your move-in inspection, but that situation, we were able, the landlord waived that fee. Other situations, like number 3 is a student was being evicted, was an international student. She fell behind in rent. They had a practice of paying late, and the landlord always accepted, but then they changed management and they filed for eviction. So after she came to see us and we referred to UCF Cares, we were able to work out a payment plan. They waived attorney's fees. She was able to catch up the arrearages over time at a reduction, and the case was ultimately dismissed, and she was able to stay there until her lease ended at the end of July. We also have a situation, it's not that uncommon, where students sign 2 leases for the same time frame. Never a good idea, but it happens. So in that situation, we were able to get one of the leases canceled. And another common situation that we find is students run to the tolls, they don't pay them, and then they get those correspondence, and maybe they change a lot, they move a lot, so they never get it, and then they get citations. And by the time they come to see us, sometimes their driver's license is suspended. So we had a situation where it's not that uncommon, where a student had like about $1,600 worth of citations for running tolls. And after he came to see us, 3 of the citations were dismissed, and he was able to pay the 4th one. They usually give you 3 months to pay, and was able to get his license reinstated. Next slide. All right, so that just gives you like a demographics generally. So pretty much evenly split between male and female, and it's very diverse population that comes to see us, probably reflective of the university itself. Next slide. So we have close to 1/3 of the students who see us are first generation, over 1/3 are Pell Grant recipients, and then we have a significant portion who are out-of-state, international, and graduate students. So those are some of the surveys. At the end of the case, we sent a survey to students. From those who completed the survey, then you can see that I think it's close to 79% reported feeling stressed about their legal issue, and close to 58% reported that their legal issue was distracting them from their studies. And then after coming to see us, like 89.5% felt they had a better understanding of their issues in their case, that they felt better equipped to deal with a similar situation in the future. 92% are satisfied with the services received. 92% would recommend us to another student in need. And over 80% felt more connected to the university, more aware of the resources available to students. And then some more feedback. So the last 4 I probably classify somewhat of constructive criticism, like regarding timelines and how long it takes to see us. We are an attorney short, so we've been an attorney short since September, so that causes some issues. So a lot of appointments we have to schedule 2 and 3 weeks in advance, which of course is not the ideal situation. We do try to address emergencies. So if a student has a response that has to be completed within a certain amount of time, we do fit them in. But otherwise, they do have to wait a little bit longer than they would like, and that we would like as well. Next slide. So we do outreach. So we try to let students know we are here. So we're a very small office, only 6 people, full staff, employees. So it's sometimes hard to get the word out. But we do table at basically all the orientations, whether it be FDIC, transfer, graduate student, medical students. And we also partner with other departments to let people know what we do. So with Sensible Nights, we did a presentation regarding car buying tips for students and things like that. Next. So we also provide notary services. Our legal assistants notarize documents for, quite a few students there, some staff too, I'm sure. Um, and we also offer semester-long internships for students who are in the legal studies department. Okay, so the changes that I'm asking for right now. So we lost an attorney. So since one of our attorneys left in 2012, she had been with us for 12 years. We have had quite a hard time finding a replacement. She left July 2022, and we didn't find a replacement until April 2023. And then this person stayed with us for just a little bit over a year. So that's why I'm asking for an increase on the new attorney from 71 to 78. I spoke with HR, and basically they tell me that an attorney with 2 years in experience in Orlando, that the their salary has been 75 and 80,000. So we are significantly under that. And then we also are asking not for a brand new attorney, but for ideally with an attorney with 2 years. So that kind of almost pushes that person to the next classification. But we can go. So and then I'm asking for adjustment for everybody else, because we have other attorneys with 20 plus years of experience. So if you're getting somebody in with 78 and they're only making 83, it doesn't seem like that's really fair, or that's at the market rate. So I'm asking for a $5,000 increase around there, and also for the legal assistant. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So this is the slide from UCF. So they classify people into different grades. So grade 15 and 16, that's our legal assistants, okay? So our legal assistants were hired as a legal assistant 1. So if you look at the definition of a legal assistant 1, the minimum requirements are a high school diploma and 0+ years of experience. A legal assistant 2 is a high school diploma and 2+ years of experience. So we really have a legal assistant 2, but we are paying our legal assistant 1 rate. So the legal assistant I'm asking for a raise, she has 14 years of experience. She's a college graduate, and she has a paralegal certificate. So you can see that the mid-level, a midpoint for that position for attorney 1, somebody with very little experience, is 45,130. If you really were to classify as a legal assistant 2, which is grade 16, the midpoint to be 51,899. So I think like paying her 40,000, it's just the bare minimum, really. I mean, she's severely underpaid. And then the person that we hire after that is making 45, and the person that we have there is still training her. So it just creates an inequity problem. So I'm asking for to be raised to 45. And then, we can go back a little bit. And then the next, the 19 and 20. So that's attorney 1 is a 19, and 20 is attorney 2. So if you look at the definition of attorney 1, just a law degree and become a member within 12 months, when we really are looking for an attorney 2, which is law degree and 2+ years experience. And then if you look at that, then grade 20, you're looking at a minimum of 75,809, and that first quartile at 85,285. So I think the 78 is just it's very reasonable. And I don't want to be hiring people and then they just leave because we're not paying them enough. A lot of law student graduates, new attorneys, they do have student loans and things like that. And then the next slide. So unfortunately, to kind of try to fund this, I did have to cut quite substantially from OPS students, which, we can try to replace them with work study. We do have a very smart group of people that work for us. They're very dedicated. They want to go to law school, and I'd love to keep them. So if there's some extra money, if you could fund those positions for an extra 15,000, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments for student legal services? I have a question. This specifically this recurring wish list OPS request, was that entered in your initial budget packet when you were submitted?
Oh, no.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions, Wanjin?
If we aren't able to fund this recurring wish list item, how is that going to impact your front desk staffing?
How is it going to impact? Well, it would not be so pressed to find work study, already have people there, and we may be able to then actually move those people to do a little bit more involved work, because they're already there for almost a year. They're probably going to be there for another year, so maybe we can have them do a little bit more involved work, and then hopefully we can get work study that can do the reception work. So I'm actually maybe increase their responsibilities a little bit so they learn a little bit more.
All right. Thank you. Any, Varela?
And the non-federal work study student assistants are hired out of the College of Legal Studies, right?
No, no. I mean, a lot of them are interested in becoming attorneys, but you don't have to have a certain degree to go to law school. So when we have people who study philosophy and legal studies, political science.
All right. I will say that this, if we did add the $15,000, excuse me, the overall, if we increase the $15,000 to the overall wish list total, it still does come in under the recurring amount. So we can have that discussion if that's something we want to increase OPS by $15,000. Open to that discussion. Similar than one.
Motion to move to debate.
We're just in like
Got
a
it? Oh, okay.
everything
Well,
thing.
I guess
But-
if we wanted to talk about it.
Wanjin?
Are we planning to discuss all the recurring wish list items as we go, or are we doing that at the end generally?
It was kind of an as we go thing as well. We can just kind of talk about it now and then talk about it all at the end if we wanted to. And we don't have to necessarily add anything right now. But kind of like if we want to amend it now, we can. Samila?
Would we be opposed to just adding it to the new salary, like new staff and salary adjustment, or just re-adding it back to the line in OPS, just so that we have the number and we can like actually see it, and then we can come back to it if we want?
Wanjin?
I was gonna ask actually that we do like talk about the recurring as we go, but vote on adding stuff at the end. So if we want to like add it either mentally or physically to the paper, I would prefer to add it after we've discussed all the other entities.
Gotcha. All right. So what we can do is I'll add it to this list that I have. And we can talk about them as we go, and then we'll add them all at the end. But this does still fall in our budget. Lush.
Are we gonna like calculate exactly how much it is, or are we just gonna go with the approximate cost of $15,000?
Oh, do you have an official number, or is it about 15,000? Would you have an exact number on that?
About 15,000 because I know we kept about 10 hours per week, so I went off of that and kind of, calculated based on those 10 hours.
Gotcha. From the sounds of it, is we are going to talk about it right now, but then at the end of our hearing, we're going to talk about everyone's recurring wish list item and then make that decision at the end. So,
I have a question for the entity as well. So for the increase, would the hourly rate for both of them stay at 15 and then just both become 15 hours per week for each? So that equals 30 total?
Oh, for the student assistants?
Yeah, for the OPS assistants.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 14, right? And then it turns to 15 at the end of September. I'm sorry, is that your question?
I was kind of asking, so you said the 30 hours per week.
Yes.
So did you want to change both the students to have 15 hours per week and both get paid $15 to equivalent to that 15K?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Wanjin?
Correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't look like the hourly increase was put into the sheet, so it's 14 hours for the entire year right now, instead of being 14, or it's 15 for the whole year instead of being 14 until October. Can we fix that?
I see that. Do you know what the hourly increase was from last year? Was it from $14 to $15? It was just, Wanjit, it was just in the OPS one. Okay. It should be fixed now. All right. Any other questions, comments for student legal services? Jamila?
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right. Thank you very much, student legal services. Next up, I know we're going a little quick, so if they are here, that is great. Yes. Volunteer UCF. All right. All right. And I've been more lenient on the time because we're very ahead of schedule. So. All right, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Lewis, and I'm the student director for Volunteer UCF. So Volunteer UCF is a student-led agency here on campus. Our main goal is to promote volunteerism and community engagement within the 12 different social topics. We do this by hosting multiple one-off service and educational events throughout the year. In addition to that, we also partner with local community partners in the Orlando area and on campus. Some of the local community partners entail SALT Outreach, Ronald McDonald House, and SERVE, Seminole Education Restoration Program. And then for on campus, Knights Pantry, the Arboretum, and MVSS, so the Office of Military and Student Success. In addition, AVP is also under our organization, agency, is Alternative Break Program. Alternative Break Program is similar to Volunteer UCF in that its main goal is to promote volunteerism and community engagement. However, instead of one-off service events, they do week-long trips and weekend-long trips. These trips typically go outside of Florida, except for MLK Weekend, which is a weekend trip which goes near Miami. Some of the components of Volunteer UCF are the social topic directors, like I mentioned. Each social topic director is required to host 5 service and 1 educational event in the fall and spring semester, and then 1 in the summer. In addition to that, we have a large-scale event, which is typically run by our special events director. Our special events director's events are a little different than social topics because we're geared these events more towards like 80 to 100 volunteers rather than our small-scale social topic events, which is geared towards 20 to 30 volunteers. Some of the large-scale events that we host are VC Open House, which is just a great way for volunteers to get to know Volunteer UCF in the beginning of the semester. And then in the spring semester, a great way for them to get to know that our applications are open and get to even interact with the directors more one-on-one to ask about the position. In addition to that, we host our annual Pegasus Palooza Day of Service in August on the first week. Nights Give Back, Hunger Banquet, which is a little bit different because it's an educational event. So it's something we do in regards to Hunger and Homelessness Week in November. So we provide a dinner, but also talk about like hunger and homelessness by hosting a simulation. In addition, we also do MLK Day of Service and Spring into Service. During the typical large-scale events like Pegasus Palooza and Day of Service, we provide breakfast and lunch and a 3-hour service project and transportation. The reason why we provide transportation is because typically volunteers during our one-off events might not be able to get off campus if they don't have a ride. So with providing transportation, it gives them a chance to participate in the opportunities off campus that they typically don't get to during the semester. In addition to that, Alternative Break Program hosts their winter break trip, like I mentioned, MLKA weekend trip, and then spring break service trip. And also they host their Active Nights of Service Week, which is typically hosted after their spring break trip. And during that week, they host deliberate dialogue, a community engagement fair, and a celebration in order to bring all the AV trip participants together at the end in order to celebrate their time at the trips and get together. Then for like statistics and community impact, last year between the year 2024 and 2025, Volunteer UCF hosted 69 service and educational events. And for the spring, 58 service and educational events. Then alternative break program hosted 2 winter break trips, 1 MLK weekend trip, and then 2 spring break trips. For our current year 2026, Volunteer UCF has already hosted 81 service and educational events. An alternative break program has already started planning 2 winter break trips, which is going on currently this week, 1 MLK weekend trip, which is going to occur next semester, and planning 2 spring break trips, 1 trip of flight. And like how VUCF operates, because we have 2 teams, I'll start off with VUCF. VUCF, we are composed of a student director, myself, and an assistant director. We also have 12 different social topic directors, like I mentioned before, animal awareness, education and literacy, and many more. We also have marketing directors and a special events director. Our marketing director is in charge of promoting Volunteer UCF, so they manage our Instagram. We do have a LinkedIn. They manage any questions we get through Instagram and try their best to promote Volunteer UCF so we can get more participants on our service and educational events. In addition to that, we have committee members underneath the social topic directors. As of right now, this year, we have 14 committee members. In regards to AVP, they have AVP student director, who is Katrina, and they have AVP assistant director, and then 4 trip coordinators. And the trip coordinators are in charge of planning the MLK, spring break, and the winter trips. In addition to that, they have a marketing director and special events director. The special events director is in charge of planning Act Nice Service Week and any other event that could help promote their upcoming trips. So for OPS, as of right now, we're requesting for next year that the student director get paid $15 for 20 hours and for 12 weeks, and then increase that by $1. And the same goes for AVP student director, but a little bit lower, and then VUCF assistant and AVP assistant director. Overall, the increase will be $2,891, which we plan to allocate from different sections in our budget. So typically our VUCF budget is separated into many sections, one being operations. So in operations, how we typically separate it is for uniforms for the exec board, $200. For advertising, we typically give $1,000. Subscription Canva, which is used by both teams, $150. Professional development like training, board retreats, and social, $1,936. Okay. And then printing, of course, $100, furniture and equipment, if we need any, $550, and materials and supplies, $800. However, this year we decided to decrease it by $401. That's why it's $4,736 this year, because we wanted to make sure we could accommodate for the increase in the OPS line. For social topic directors, we're asking that we do not change it. Instead, we keep it still at $3,000. Typically, this budget's used in order to buy supplies for these service and educational events, like cards, if we make kits for UCP Unlocking Children's Potential, like sensory kits, or any kind of supplies that'll be necessary during the service or educational event. And then marketing initiatives, $4,000. We're also requesting that there's no change. This is just a great way for us to be able to purchase promotionals to get our name out there to encourage people to come to our events. Okay, so large scale events, like I mentioned, we have a few. So VC Open House Fall and Spring, we typically allocate $200. For Pegasus Palooza Day of Service, $3,900. Nights Get Back, $3,500. Spring Into Service, $5,000. Hunger Banquet, $2,600, and MLK Day of Service, $650. In total, that'll come up to $15,850. That's a decrease from last year by $500 in order to accommodate again for the increase in OPS line. For alternative break program, they typically separate into operations, $2,750, retreats, $2,000, winter trip 1 and 2, $4,500, and MLK trip, $1,500. For spring break trips, of course, $4,500. Active Night Service Week, like I mentioned before, $2,000. Special events, $2,000. Educational events, $300. Social events, $1,000. And marketing, $3,276. In total, $32,829, which we decreased by $1,000 from last year in order to accommodate for the OPS again. So this is the revenue they typically make, is allocated $5,000, but typically they go over, but they did not decrease this number. So in total, AVP's total budget would be $27,829, decreased by $1,000 in order to accommodate for the OPS. So if you guys do happen at the end of budget hearing to have extra money. We're asking that we restore our current budget lines to their current levels for this year. So it'd be $500 for large scale events, actually $2,000 for alternative break program, and then operations $401, totaling up to $2,901. Any questions?
All right. Thank you very much, Smilla.
Hi, thank you for coming and everything that you do for the UCF community. In regards to the reoccurring wish list, it was never really stated where that money came out of and what you're restoring it for. Could you just kind of go into detail of like what it's going back to in the lines itself?
Of course. In the presentation, I mentioned $401 coming from the operation line. Yeah, so typically operations used for more like office expenses. So each social topic is given like $250, which totals up to $3,000. So this is more for like our personal use. So say we need more for like printing, because like printing it's expensive, or if we need to replace furniture, equipment, or materials specifically for like just the office, so we don't have to make sure every time a director needs to get like cards or like supplies, it's already in the office, so they don't have to go purchase it out of their specific budget. Because $250 is a lot, but it's also not a lot to be enough for a whole year, which includes summer, fall, and spring.
All right.
And then also $500, sorry,
No, you're
because
good.
that's just one of the sections, yeah. Yeah, $500 came from our large scale events. This is typically where a lot of our money goes, just because large scale events are biggest events. They typically, like I said, are geared towards 80 to 100 people. So it came out of like Nights Good Back, Spring into Service, our last large scale event, and even Hunger Banquet. So it would go back into that fund so that we can help encourage more people to come out to our events and get them to like different locations so they can get that experience of being in a volunteer service event. And then of course AVP, they decreased it from like various areas in their budget line, but basically this would allow them to be able to do more trips with flights, because typically they can only go as far as a van can drive and as long as like the person driving the van can drive, like without having to go to sleep. So this would allow them, to like go further in like the United States and volunteer at different areas and have that experience, because the whole point of AVP is to allow them to have a service experience but in a different area besides Orlando, Florida.
All right. Any other question? Wanchin?
Just going to add to that explanation about ABP. You're good. The specific cuts from ABP for the $1,000 came $500 from operations and $500 from marketing, and we're requesting the recurring only says $1,000 up there, requesting an extra additional $1,000 on top of the restoration. That's why Diana said $2,000 instead of what was on screen, for one of our spring trips so that we can go to an international trip.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Smilla.
Question for Wanjin. Okay, so in regards to the 1,000 extra for the spring trip, is that being divided for both of them or just to one of them?
Just one trip, because usually our trips drive domestically. We go to, like right now we have our 2 trips that are actively running are in North Carolina and Georgia. We've looked several times at trying to bring back an international trip, because before COVID we did that. But it is not in our budget right now. So that $1,000 would just be hopefully enough to be able to pay to go to like Costa Rica is somewhere we've looked at, or Puerto Rico, to be able to work in those communities that are so culturally different than what we can get, especially in our area of the US, and pay for both like reasonable costs there and the flights.
Lucian and Smilla.
Where is the extra $1,000 listed? Because I don't see it in the budget request packet, or is it?
It's not on there either. Yeah, it didn't make it on anywhere.
So yeah, with that, could we add 1,000 just to the line, just so that we have the actual number out, since that's what they're requesting, just to the request in the budget packet?
This is to ABP line. Okay.
They're still in the budget.
Thank you.
In the budget packet.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Okay. I added in extra $1,000 to the ABP tab, and that will get reflected on our spreadsheet. Of course. Did I
Was
miss
the inquiry asking to add it to the wish list tab so that it's reflected there or into the packet itself? Since we were talking about voting on all the wish list items after.
Was this a wish list? Is this a wish list thing or is this adding to the ABP tab?
You're talking about updating the wish list for ABP from 1,000 to 2,000. Yes. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Now it is successfully updated. My apologies. Smell.
With that motion to move to the next entity.
All right. There's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much. All right. Next up is Sports Club Council. All right. Yeah, it's in that one. Should be. Whenever you're ready, feel free to begin.
Do you have the revised one that we can send?
Yeah.
Would we be able to send you a revised presentation? Is that okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What's that? I didn't even know. Oh, thank you. Morning.
Motion to recess for 3 minutes.
All right. There's been a motion to recess for 3 minutes. Are there any objections? Seeing none, I recess this meeting at 10:10 a.m. We'll reconvene at 10:13 a.m.
Sorry about that.
I still did not get it. Did you send it to the SGA underscore ASF? It could just be taking action.
Yeah, I use service to get onto mine, but it literally just. That's what I'm saying. If you have any issues, I can see if I can resend it.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can. Okay, I don't have a gavel, but we're gonna get started. So I reconvene this meeting at 10:20 a.m. Sports Club Council, whenever you're ready. You
All right,
ready?
thank you. My name is Tegan Youngquist. I'm the treasurer of the Sports Club Council. This is going to be our 2026 to 2027 budget request. Who are we? So we are a bunch of sports clubs that are student-run, student-led organizations. We're comprised of 45 different clubs with over 3,900 different participants. We essentially bridge the gap between competitive and recreational enjoyment of sports. A few of our most recent achievements are Swim Club went to their regional conference where most of the swimmers scored in the top 10. Men's volleyball went to their season opener and scored first place. Pickleball traveled with 2 teams to their regionals where both of them got national bids. And then both men's and women's soccer traveled to their national conference in Kansas. Next slide, please. Overall, we have 17 state titles, 13 regional titles, and 48 national titles. 22 of those are individual, and 26 of those are team national titles. We have a bunch of volunteer events throughout the year. This past 2024 to 2025, we hosted 64 volunteer events with a total of 869 volunteers. That comes to a total of 3,291 total hours that we volunteered. Some of our most notable organizations are ACE Schools, Unified Basketball, Special Olympics, and SALT Outreach. So what do we do as a sports club? We oversee the allocation and distribution of funds. We schedule practices and the on-campus events. We're coordinating all of the local, state, regional, and national level traveling. We enforce our SEC policies and procedures, and then we provide marketing, recruitment, and leadership development for all of our clubs. This is a little breakdown of our organizational chart. Over here, we have our executive board, which is comprised of our vice president, treasurer, secretary, recruitment, then our comptroller. This is under our SEC president. And then on the other side, we have our sports club supervisors under our grad assistant, and this all comes down under our assistant director. Here's a little breakdown of how we organize our clubs. As you can see, we have a total of 45 clubs as of last year. We break them down into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 clubs. We do this to incentivize more community engagement. So we have soft budget caps per tier. This is to help request that our clubs commit more, engage more, do more volunteer hours, and they get the potential of increasing their budget. We had a total of 3,982 total participants, not including our latest club that was initiated, but this is 600 more people than we had last year. This is a little travel statistic of where we go. We had 72 home events and we had 231 away events. 97 of those were funded by our distribution. However, 134 were not funded by our distribution, had to be funded by each individual club. We visited 33 states and we also went to Puerto Rico. We had 15 regional tournaments and 25 national tournaments. This is what we're requesting. Next slide, please. This is in comparison to our budget that we had this previous year. As you can see, we're asking for $1,500 less in our operations. We're taking this out of our risk management. Then we're asking for $5,000 in our OPS. This is just to account for the minimum wage increase that will be happening. And then, of course, programming is where the large amount of our budget goes to, and we're asking for another $2,700. Here's a little breakdown of our operations. As you can see, we have advertising and promotional. IM Leagues is what our software uses to host all of our clubs, end of year events. Then we have our grad student, and we are taking $1,500 from our athletic training fund. But programming, that's where a large amount of our money goes to. So we have our 2024 to 2025 numbers up here on the right. So we had a total allocation of $271,000 approximately. We budget this out into regular season, postseason, then discretionary funds. This is where the budget that you give us goes to. But in the yellow down here is how much our clubs had to fundraise on top of that to maintain regular activity. They raised over $1 million last year. So only 21% of the budget we were allocated helps the amount that needs to be funded. That's 5% less than last year. So this year we're asking for $276,000 just because we have an increased amount of participation, we have an increased amount of events, and we're expecting 3 new clubs to be joining us: racquetball, figure skating, and men's water polo, coming up to 48. This is our reoccurring wish list. We're asking for that $1,500 back for our operations so we can put it back into our athletic training just to make us whole again. We're asking for an additional $7,000 to our programming. As you just saw, a lot of money goes into this, and we have a lot of clubs to distribute upon. This would help them with their regular season and postseason for both our current and our new clubs that we're expecting. We also asked for $5,000 in external training or athletic training. This is what helps them with on and off campus events in the case that we can't fund for them. We're asking for $5,000 in facility rentals to help with the practice costs. And then we're asking for another $5,000 in marketing and advertising. This comes to a total of $23,500. Next, please. And then we have our non-reoccurring expenses. We are asking for $25,000 for our outdoor scoreboards. These boards are currently 20 years old, and we have a lot of clubs that practice on these fields, and it's required for them to have home events and to utilize these equipment. Then we are also asking for new disc golf baskets for $7,000. Disc golf is one of our newer clubs. However, they have hosted several home tournaments with not ideal or broken equipment currently. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for Sports Club? Benitez.
On the spreadsheet for the wish list, it says 22,000, but whenever you add it up, it's the 23,500.
Is that on this paper?
On this one, and then on the spreadsheet as well.
On the spreadsheet, because I realize that I don't know if I should visit that, but I do see that it is 23,500, and then on the spreadsheet as well. Let me check.
I believe that is the difference in our athletic training. I think that comes out to 1,500.
Yes.
The formula just takes E9 instead of E8. It's just missing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's
I don't know why that formula did not pick up that. Okay. It is fixed on the spreadsheet.
Could you go back to the programming slide? The one before that. There was one that, like, there's a programming slide that was before that. No. You're way by it.
Are you sure?
Yes. Just keep going down. No, not like it's like 2 slides behind operations.
This? Okay. That's cool.
Any other questions for Varela?
May I retain the floor?
May
I retain? Awesome. I'm the alternate seat in the committee, so I will not be around for voting on the recurring and non-recurring wish lists. But I also wanted to express, I think it's super important that the committee adopt all of the non-recurring and recurring expense wish lists. Just because, as we have seen, the Sports Club Council has to do a lot of funding out of their own pocket, which is super disappointing because they are quite prestigious, nationally recognized Sports Club Council. They have national championships, they compete on the national stage, so they should be funded as so, especially for their equipment like the scoreboards, the RWC, and their disc golf equipment. If you're hosting national competitions, you should have equipment that reflects that, as well as travel expenses that reflect that. Our team shouldn't be forced to stay in Moto 6s out of their own pocket when they're traveling to go compete in national competitions. So I just wanted to express that before I leave here. Motion to move to the next agency.
All right, there's been a motion to withdraw. Camilla.
Sorry, I was going to reject when he asked to retain. But so I just had one question. In regards to the increase for $7,000 for travel, can I ask what teams that's mostly for and what tier they would be?
Yeah, of course. So we've spread it across all of our teams. So each individual club has different requirements to go on to national levels and so on and so forth. So it's not guaranteed that every year a team will go to nationals. So we would spread that across all of our current and new clubs because we're expecting 3 new clubs currently, but by the next couple of months, we can expect to see more clubs pop up that would need that funding. So it'd be spread evenly across who needs it.
Camilla.
So with that, so I know that you wrote on the PowerPoint that it was mostly postseason. To my understanding, postseason is also like nationals and whatever somebody may need along the way when they're finishing out their season. So is the $7,000 going towards people in general throughout their season or only postseason?
Up there listed, it was for regular season and postseason, but postseason does not need a lot of funding because that's when you qualify for those regionals and nationals, sometimes world.
All right. Any other questions for Sports Club, Varela?
Motion to move to the next agency.
There's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much. All right. Moving on is late nights is next. You got it. All right. Whenever you are ready, you may begin.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Nick. I'm the executive director for Late Nights for 2025-2026. So this is a bit of a breakdown of what I'm going to be talking about. It's going to be about us, events, budget breakdown, explanation of changes, and then a wish list. So Late Nights is an agency under the Office of Student Involvement, and the purpose of Late Nights is to provide safe and unique entertainment experiences while creating genuine memories on campus as alternatives to the Orlando party scene. We offer some of the largest on-campus student events that UCF has to offer, such as Fright Night, Prom, Glow Nights, and Splashdown. In addition to this, we also host similar small-scale events like bingo, trivia, karaoke, painting events, dance parties, things like that. And we typically do them between Thursdays, Fridays, sometimes Saturdays between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. Late Nights currently consists of 6 student directors and 30 to 40 active council members who play an important role in maintaining the agency. So some of the summer events that we did this past summer are the Art of Apollo and Summer Nightlife. Both of them went pretty well. We had a third event planned that unfortunately couldn't happen due to weather, but that's what we had over the summer. This is what we had for fall. We had this isn't all of our events, but these are a bunch of our events that we had over the last fall, And none of our events in the fall had under 100 students in attendance, which I'm very proud of. I don't think we've ever done that before in the past. And while our attendance hasn't gone up by too much, it has gone up by 2%, in addition to last year's 40%. So there is a lot of consistency in our numbers. So as for our spring planned events, we have 3 events planned for January currently. Lavender Night collaboration, Grandma Night, which is like a senior citizen kind of thing. We're hoping to do prom at the end of January. In February, we're planning to do a Valentine's event. We're going to do Mardi Gras with Frozen, an around the world scavenger hunt. I think another event as well. In March, we're going to do Renaissance Night, paint and sit event, and then another event that's still in the planning process. And then in April, we're going to do a Disney event, Capture the Flag, Splashdown, and Nightcella. So budget breakdown, which is what we're all here for. On the left is our current actual, and then on the right is what we're going to be moving into. Next year, we're looking to increase OPS to 13,591. Operations will go down to 4,050. The comma is misplaced there. And then special marketing and programming will be remaining the same. So OPS will be increasing by $668 to accommodate for minimum wage increase. And then operations will be decreasing to account for this change in minimum wage by $750. So that will be moving over. And then wish list budget, which is, bear with me here. OPS will be remaining the same to 13,591. Operations, we'd like to have it at 5,800. Special events, 51,598. Programming will remain the same, and marketing will also remain the same. So for operations, an increase of $750 would allow us to recuperate the amount lost due to the minimum wage increase. I think that is a decent amount to ask for. And then an additional increase of $1,000 would assist with the purchase of agency uniforms, because this year, instead of partnering with other entities or agencies, we made a push to order our uniforms using a portion of our own budget. The money that was used for our uniforms this year came from our marketing budget. And while that did not necessarily impact us all that negatively, it was almost $1,000 that we had to pull out of marketing. And this money could have gone towards other marketing materials and increased our outreach or engagement. So it'd be nice to have that money for our uniforms, which are necessary for safety and professionalism. And then for special events, I have $9,000 up there because event costs are increasing and event standards cannot be upheld with these changes in and price. Referring back to our mission statement, which is to provide fun, entertainment, and safe entertainment options as alternatives to the Orlando party scene, students may not be inclined to attend our events if they don't meet a certain standard and may choose to look towards alcohol or the party scene as alternatives to these events when it really should be the opposite. Regarding some of the examples for this, Fright Night this year received a lot of negative feedback due to lack of offerings, decor, theming, trail quality, etc. And while the event was successful in terms of attendance, almost 700 students, which is awesome, instead of attending our event next year after seeing this year's event, students may choose to go out and do other things because we could not provide something worth attending. Something that people mentioned a lot and through in-person discussions and to Night Connect reviews and things like that was having more activities, more snacks, more things in general, and something that we could not really act upon due to changes in prices and financial restrictions. We used the same vendors and same packages from last year, but prices were high enough that we had to cut some things out, and we ended up with the event that we presented in October. And then switching from Fright Night onto our Family Weekend Carnival and Paint Rave. Those were awesome events, pretty high attendance, about 300 each. And again, those events, while awesome, could have benefited from a somewhat increased budget. While we used the same vendors and bought the same things for the most part as previous years, things were high enough that we had to rethink what we did. And then impact and reasoning, again, as I mentioned, we've had about a 2% increase in attendance. While, that's not a lot, it does show that there is demand and that we have been consistent this last year and a half. And while some of our events, again, are awesome and great, they could benefit from more offerings and somewhat increased budget. Our main goal is hosting events that students, UCF's lifeblood, can and will enjoy, and I want to reach a certain standard with what we put out and not have to worry about certain costs or needing to rely on other entities or parties. That's the end of questions.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to questioning. We'll go Samila.
Hi, thank you for all the events that you guys do. I just had a few questions for you. So for the $750 to make you guys whole again in operations, do you know what exactly that would go to?
What exactly? That would go
Within
to?
your operations, yeah.
Our operations, I want to shift the focus from, because we normally have it for miscellaneous purchases. So this coming year, I'd like to shift the focus towards PD and other things so that doesn't pull away from our special events budget, which we normally use it for. But I'd like to use it for PD and things that we don't want to use our other budget lines for.
All right. And then next question for events, you asked for an increase of $9,000. Without that, can you change or not get some of the venues that you currently use?
We can continue to provide events like we currently do, but as I mentioned, the $9,000 or less doesn't have to be $9,000. An increase of any kind would significantly help us with providing more options or maybe looking into different vendors or things like that we don't normally consider.
Samila and Benitez.
Sorry, last one. So with that events, does this increase mostly just have to do with decor and like food so that there's more accessibility in those fields and like making it look better? Or is it more having to do with inviting more vendors out or introducing new ideas?
A bit of both, because a lot of things the students ask for are more activities, so like games, things like that, and also food or snacks. So a bit of both.
So my question's similar to the events. For those 9,000 that you're asking on the wish list, how much of that would be to just mainly late nights events, like such as I know Splashdown, etc., prom that y'all do? How much of those would go to those events, and how much would go to like the collaborative events like Winter Wonderland or Fright Night?
It would be split right now. I kind of looked into how I'd split it up. Some of that would go to in the fall, we typically do collab events. In the spring, we tend to do more original events. So they would go mostly to spring original events and then to fall Paint and Rave, Pegasus Palooza, and Family Weekend Carnival.
Drink one.
For your programming events for the rewards, what do you usually like those rewards entail when you give them to students?
For rewards, we go all over the place depending on the event. So sometimes we'll do like theme park tickets, or for one of our Halloween Harvest events, we did Horror Nights ticket giveaway. We'll do like air fryers, board games, things like that.
All right. Any other questions, comments, discussion for late nights? Wanja?
Move to go to the next entity.
All right. There's been a motion to go to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Is Kurt's new presentation? Huh? All right. Next up is Knights of the Round Table. Yeah.
Oh, you did the other.
Yeah, I deleted the okay. All right, whenever you're ready.
Hey guys, I'm Han Lee. I'm the Executive Director of Knights of the Round Table. Looking up next. So our mission is we are a administrative/event programming body that helps RSOs on campus. We mainly focus on providing RSOs opportunities to showcase themselves to students while also advocating for students as well as RSOs so they can become more present on campus. Our goal is to help develop, educate, and inspire student leaders and develop communities on campus through the creation of RSOs and promoting them on campus through our events. And we help them by building a bridge between students, registered organizations, and other UCF's resources such as SG and other departments like UCF Global and Housing Residence Life. So our impact, Knights of the Round Table touches over 600 plus student organizations on campus, and we're growing every day. We help empower these organizations by providing essential support, such as through banking letters or NightQuest consultations or relay request messages to help them spread their message across the student body. Our event programming is also one of our main key ways that we help empower these organizations because we host massive events like opening night that help showcase these organizations to the general student body. So what are events? What are our events is probably what you're wondering right now. We have obviously opening night, which is one of our biggest events. It was absolutely massive this year and it was held in the Student Union. We had over 360 RSOs participate and over 4,000 people attended, including student leaders. We also had trick or tabling, which was an awesome Halloween themed event where we had it was basically like trick or trunk, but instead of visiting like cars for like candy, you visit RSO tables. And we capped it off with a massive costume contest, which was very, very popular because we gave out an air fryer. We also had Common Craft, which is a leadership event. We recently revamped our leadership coordinator position. This helps showcase specific skills in RSOs. In this case, the Potter's Guild's pottery skills. And we're planning on revamping that more in the future with our RSO Family Feud and RSO Battle of the RSO event in the spring. Then we have our International Culture Festival, which was a genius event actually came up by our programming coordinators. This was a collaboration of UCF Global and it really helped them enhance their Thanksgiving celebration since their resources were a little limited this year. So we helped provide them another opportunity to host this event in a similar capacity to what they were doing previous years. And we also had Coffee and Cookies with Court, which was a nice, cute event at Foxtail that help advocate court to the student body because we're not a very well-known agency and we just want to increase our presence on campus. These are some pictures of our wonderful events. We've had a massive jump in attendance this year, and that's just because of our increased focus on event programming. Our program coordinators and leadership coordinators have done a really good job at reaching out for event partnerships and just reaching out to different bodies for different reasons. As you can see here, the International Culture Festival of UCF Global grabbed a lot of traction because we had an increased audience that UCF Global was able to help reach out to. We had this really interesting coffee cart, but I'm kind of getting off track. Trick or tabling, we had this awesome costume contest, as you can see here, a lot of dog photos. And an opening night, again, massive attendance, completely blew our expectations out of the water, very crowded, and a lot of complaints about overcrowding, but I'll get into that later. All right. So our spring events, we're expecting Involvement Week in January. That's sort of an opening night adjacent, except we split up the RSO categories such as athletics, social, Greek life, and etc. into different days. We host activities that represent those RSOs for those days. In February, we have a nice Valentine's Day event with NISLA that'll help showcase their service resources. Then we also have a farmers market event, which is a collaboration with the student union. This will be like an interesting little farmers market, sort of inspired by a multicultural center's farmers market, but this is going to be our take on it. In March, we have Battle of the RSOs and RSO Family Feud. These are like game show events, really big in scope, honestly. That'll help develop resources and RSO leadership skills. And then April, we're capping up for Water Lantern Festival, a spring de-stress event. That's sort of a work in progress, but right now we really want to do a bouncy house and inflatables. And we have Impact Awards, which is our massive award show for RSOs and agencies at the end of the year. So this is what everyone's here for. This is our budget increases. We're expecting, well, right now it's reflected as a decrease of operations from 4,100 to 1,900, but I'll explain that in a minute. OPS is 2,800 to 3,100 to reflect the increase in minimum wage, and programming will be an increase from 3,100 to 3,200. OPS is increasing because of minimum wage, which is about 2,100. That is for our assistant executive director, our NIQUIST consultants, and me. And our programming, namely Impact Awards, is expecting a $670 increase. So this is where I'll explain these increases. OPS is expecting a 2,100 increase, primarily to accommodate for the minimum wage increases. That's again for our 4 members of our board that are receiving payment. Currently, this is reflected by a 2,100 decrease in our operations. So this is going to be our reoccurring wish list. We're requesting a 2,100 increase in our operations just to balance out the decrease caused by the increase in minimum wage. That's just going to turn out to be the same as it was last year. And we're requesting a $6,400 increase in our programming to increase our opening night expenses that we've experienced this year. In general, we would like more programming budget in general because we want to increase course presence on campus. With an increased presence, we can have more RSOs and departments hopefully reach out to us, and it'll make it easier for event partnerships to happen. Also, with like more massive events that we can like contribute more money to, such as opening night and involvement week, we can hopefully garner more attention and more respect, honestly, for these events, and hopefully match student like expectations and standards. Opening night expenses were a really big problem this year for us. We unfortunately had to transition opening night out from the stadium into the student union. Well, first we transitioned it to the memory mall, then we transitioned from memory mall to the student union because of construction and such. And unfortunately, that incurred a lot of expenses such as student union hours and tents because the student union couldn't accommodate the usual amount of RSOs. Typically, we have 300 in the stadium. They can only really fit like 250 inside the union. So the 6,400 actually directly comes from external tent vendors that we use to lay out tents on the outside of the student union, which fit around 50 or 60 more RSOs, which really helped bolster our numbers. And it actually added a very lively component to our event. So budget summary, oh wow. Our total budget is increasing from 6,400 to 6,500 with the recurring wish list. That'll be roughly about 7,400. We expect to maintain the spending for our programming events right here. I'm not gonna bore you guys by running through all of them, but opening night is way higher than it's reflected on here. We've had to receive a lot of external assistance, namely from the entirety of OSI, honestly, to help fund opening night. So opening night expenses were roughly, honestly, double that, as you see right there. So we're just requesting just more programming to help fund opening night and basically help maintain that student experience for RSO leaders. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, thank you very much. Quick question for you. On the budget packet submitted, your recurring wish list for kind of increasing your operations to make yourself whole, you submitted 1,104. Is this supposed to be 2,104?
Oh, yes. Gotcha. Apologies.
Any other questions for Benitez, then Rose?
So for opening night, do you plan on having it again in the union? Because ideally, the renovation of the football stadium should be done, but I know just location wise, or like where like is the location anticipated to be next year?
Next year's anticipated to be in the union. The union was a big success. A lot of RSOs really appreciated it too because it's indoors, unlike the stadium, which is more outdoors. I honestly wasn't expecting the renovations to be complete by then, and we weren't really expecting a good confirmation because we start recruiting all the way in May. So we were really expecting it to be back in the union again. Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think The 2,104 was already split. Yeah.
But yes, we actually had to receive a lot of assistance from OSI, namely Shane's foundation account, to help fund all these tents, which is where the 6,400 came from. We also had to receive assistance for funding our police department resources as well.
All right. Any other questions for court? Courts.
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right. There's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much. All right. Moving on. Next is homecoming. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabby Murrison. I'm the Executive Director for UCF Homecoming 2025. And so today I'm going to be going through our budget proposal for 26-27. So a little bit about us. UCF Homecoming is an agency under the Office of Student Involvement. We are basically a week-long full of free events for students and alumni alike, leading up to our homecoming football game to promote UCF pride and unity. Our team consists of, as of right now, 11 student executive board members, as well as 5 volunteer coordinators, which are our liaisons between our hundreds of regular volunteers. We have a wide array of events, so going through those, our homecoming reveal, which is part of Pegasus Palooza, announcing the following events: our kickoff, movie night, Night's Got Talent, comedy night, concert night, Spirit Splash, our firework festival, and then of course, our royalty crowning at the football game. So these are our kind of headlining events of our week this year. So we started off with Night's Got Talent and then moved on to movie night, our comedy night, concert night, and Spirit Splash. We have a bunch of homecoming partners that make this week possible. We work very closely with UCF Athletics, Nighthon, our Ginsburg Center, Creative School for Children, Knights of the Round Table, Volunteer UCF, Rose and Life, Coca-Cola, even the list just goes on and on and on. So overall, this is our budget request. So we are asking for $357,000. So we didn't really move too much from our budget lines previously. It was just mainly maintaining our production quality and making sure that these shows and these events can stay to the standard that we have upheld in previous years. So our OPS moved up with the minimum wage increase. Our only one paid student director is the executive director, so we are asking for $12,145. Operations, mainly asking for, there should be more to that, I think. We are mainly asking for focusing on our polos and name tags, just making sure that we maintain that professionalism and uniform throughout. So that's going to move down to $500. We are hoping to make revenue next year with staying the same at $30,000. That's our goal every year. Sometimes we hit it, sometimes we don't. So hopefully 2026 will be a success. Night's Got Talent will be staying the same at $1,500. Movie night has gone up. Our movie rentals have increased quite dramatically. So we are asking for $2,300 this year. Comedy night, we are focusing on getting relevant talent that students want to see. So we are asking for about $58,000. Concert night is one of our big increases. We are asking for $158,000. Artist rentals and securing that venue is quite expensive. So ensuring that we are giving quality shows that students and then alumni and just the Orlando community want to pay tickets to see is quite important. Spirit Splash is actually staying the same at $15,000. It's split up into a bunch of different subheadings to ensure that the UCF tradition is a success every single year. Our fireworks festival is going up a little bit, just the same deal. Production costs are going up all around, so we are asking for $29,000. Royalty is staying the same at $850 even, just basically maintaining that overall look for that royal court. Marketing is going up at $17,000. So we are buying weekly and Spirit Splash shirts, as well as just general promotional items to promote homecoming. Production is our big one. We are asking for $89,000. This goes into things like arena production. Like when you rent out that arena, it's a blank canvas. So putting in that stage, that lighting, that backlight, making sure that we have a stage for Spirit Splash and our fireworks show, and making sure that our staff costs are up to the professional level that we deserve. So these are our overall increases. So we are increasing on the budget lines: production, movie, OPS, marketing, and concert. We are hoping to just combat those severe production increases that we go through every single year. Questions?
All right, thank you very much. We'll start with Smilla.
Hello, thank you for coming. My one question for you is how many polos and name tags are you purchasing with the $500?
So we will have 11 name tags for that entire executive board. And then as for polos, we have a few in our cube right now, but very limited. So it would be around anywhere from 7 to 11.
All right. Any other questions, comments for homecoming?
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right, there's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much. All right, next up, we are going to have CAB present. Is Campus Activity Board here? All right. All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Natalie Mendez, and I'm the Executive Director for the Campus Activities Board this year. So this is kind of what we'll be talking about. I'm going to introduce you to CAB a little bit and then really go into our budget. So CAB, really our main purpose on campus is to foster a sense of community through like first year students mostly. But really we're just trying to create inclusive spaces for the entire student body. We host a lot of different events and we hit a lot of different categories. So we're really just trying to cater to a lot of different students across campus. We're comprised of 12 different student leaders. So that would be the associate, the executive director, and then we have 10 directors. And recently we just added 2 assistant directors. Those are new positions this year, which are our content manager and our artist ambassador. We're 7 committees. We're cinema, comedy, concerts, fine arts, impact, marketing, and special events. And we'll host approximately 64 events this year. So this is just some of our programming. We do a lot of different programming over the summer, and then we have a lot in the fall. Yeah, so we host a lot of events in the fall. There's a lot of Keystone events here. We do Pegasus Palooza the first week of school. We do Winter Wonderland, Fright Night, and a lot of different like small programming in between. And this is all the programming that we'll hit in the spring. Again, another big week we have is UC Fest, and we'll do things like glow nights as well. So CAB is undergoing a huge budget restructure, hopefully this coming year. This is mainly due to the high production cost of producing concerts in the arena. So the idea here is to take money out of the concerts budget and redistribute it amongst all the other committees. So OPS has gone up due to the wage increase, and then our operations is roughly the same. It's just decreasing by around $200. And our operations is also split with our marketing committee. So that's all of our merchandise and stuff like that. So cinema is seeing a decrease. We tend to have a surplus in that committee. So it just made sense to reduce the amount of money there and give it to other committees that would benefit. Our comedy budget is going to increase as well. Our comedy shows tend to do very, very well in the arena. A lot of students like the comedians we bring. So we wanted to increase that budget so we can continue to bring popular names to campus so that students will continue to come to Pegasus Palooza and UC Fest. Our concerts budget, like I said, is seeing a significant decrease. Our main goal in this is to also put a lot more money into our UC Fest budget and really make that a high production thing for CAB. In the fall, we have 2 concerts and comedy shows due to the homecoming shows that are in October. So it makes a lot of sense for CAB to put a lot of our efforts into the spring so we can produce another high production event for the student body. The Fine Arts Committee is also seeing a increase because we have Symphony Under the Stars. It's our last event of the year, and it's really important to the UCF community, but it's really expensive to do production, especially out at the Reflection Pond. We recently just moved it back there, and that's like a really popular space for students, but getting a stage out there is a lot of money. PD, chairs, everything like that. It's just becoming increasingly like more expensive for us. So that is something we really wanted to highlight in the like coming year, is to, you know, boost the fine arts budget, because that is a huge like keystone event for not just CAB but the UCF community as a whole. So we think it's really important to be able to have the funds to produce that event. Also, the Fine Arts Committee produces a lot of different events. They do up to 10 events a year, and it's a lot of like money to buy a lot of supplies for those events because you're doing a craft at each one. So it just makes sense to increase that budget a lot. The Impact Committee is also seeing a pretty significant increase. Our speaker events have been really popular this year. We had almost 1,000 students at our speaker event in the fall. So we just want to continue to bring big names to campus so that students can come enjoy something like that in the ballroom. And special events is seeing a decrease. That committee actually does a lot of keystone events. We do Winter Wonderland with SG, we do Fright Night, we do Glow Nights. That committee has a lot on its plate, but with the decrease, we would still be able to produce those events at a high production. So for our recurring wish list, like I said, fine arts is something that we're really trying to fund for this year. It's a really important committee to us. So we want an increase of $5,000. And again, this will allow for us to continue to produce Symphony Under the Stars at a high production and continue to create like a memorable experience for people at the end of the year. We have over 1,000 students come to that event every single year. So we think it's really important to continue that tradition and give it as much as we can. We also want to get $30,000 for concerts. This is to continue to bring bigger names to campus. It's really difficult to cater to the student body in terms of like finding a music artist with everyone having different tastes. But with an increase in budget, we would be able to bring names that the majority of the student body would like to see. And this would really help us in terms of reaching revenue and just having a larger outreach among campus. Any questions?
All right. Thank you very much. Now, live for questioning, Samila.
Hi, thank you for coming in. Sorry, I'm like the only one asking questions. I feel bad. But for concerts, I just had one question. So I was looking at the difference between the Pegasus Palooza concert and the spring concert. Obviously, there's a lot of differences there, but one of the main ones that I see is production. There's no production line for the Pegasus Palooza concert. Would this 30 go towards production, or would it go more towards the artist fee and agent fees?
So in the fall, our production's actually covered by Shane, so we don't take on any of that cost. So the 30,000 would go towards the artist fees because artist fees are getting like increasingly more expensive and our budget's staying the same. So we're not able to bring like the people that we used to be able to bring. So that money would mostly go towards artist fees.
All right. Any other questions, comments, discussion for CAB? If not, I'll take a motion. Rose. There's an motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Nighthon here. All right. Of course. All right. And whenever you're ready, you may begin.
All right, awesome. My name is Chris Mundry. I'm the executive director for Nighthon. Next slide. So what is Nighthon? Nighthon is the dance marathon program here at the University of Central Florida. We work year round to educate, inspire, and unite our campus and Orlando community to fight to end pediatric illness. Our efforts provide support to Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children at UCF's largest student-run philanthropy. Next. So a little bit about breakdown of Nighthon. I have a management team of 6 students, including myself. I have an executive board of 16 individuals, a coordinator team of 27 individuals, a leadership team of 135 students, team captains from over 50 organizations on main campus and satellite campuses. We engage our alumni from UCF and Nighthon, future students in our K-12 programs. We work with 11 different high schools, all the way from Melbourne Central Catholic all the way to Horizon, which is over near Windermere. We host monthly events, and then we conclude our year in a 12-hour main event. Fall 2025, we had a great fall. We hosted our KT kickoff event in early August or late August. We hosted a couple of different hospital tours, so we get to bring some of our UCF students actually to Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children, and they get to see the different areas we funded over the past couple of years. We collabed with Homecoming for homecoming ticket sales. We hosted a family party at Lake Claire where all of the families that we support throughout the year come out and we just hang out with them. We partnered with UCF Greek Council for a trick or treat on Greek Street. We had our dance marathon experience event up in Cape Florida Ballroom to start off our fall fundraising push, which was Charge On Challenge. We hosted Charge On Challenge. We had a great successful fall fundraising push this year. We increased, last year we raised $46,000 during our fall, and this year we raised $80,000. So that was really awesome to see this year. And then we just helped out at Winter Wonderland as well to sell some fast passes during that event in late August or late November. Collab, like I said, we partner with Homecoming, Winter Wonderland, and then our alumni and our K through 12 programs. Next. Looking into spring in January, we're going to recruit most of our external teams. So these are most of our registered student organizations on campus, and then our Greek organizations as well. We're going to have a kickoff event in January. February, we're going to do Battle of the Bands in collaboration with CAB. We'll have our K through 12 mini dance marathon. So each of the high schools host their own mini dance marathon at their own school, and we'll go there and support them. We'll have a Greek week and an RSO week. In March, we'll have Champions Challenge, which is our largest spring fundraising push, as well as our largest fundraising push all year that we have. We'll collab with DM at FSU. We go up to Tallahassee and go to their main event to see. There's a bigger program, so we like to take a lot of their things and then transfer some of those things over into our event. And then we'll have our main event check-in week. And then April, we'll have our 12-hour main event on April 11th in the Edition Financial Arena. And then we'll do our transitions into the next year. So our 2025-2026 budget, pretty much everything is staying the same except for a little decrease in our main event budget, just increase for OPS as well. Next slide. So in our operations, we break it down into professional development, which is our $1,500 for new quarter zips that our executive board has each year, and our name tags. And then next year, we're going to have to get all new polos because CMN is changing a logo for the Miracle Network Dance Marathon thing. Logo. We'll do our group travel to our Ignite Peer-to-Peer Leadership Conference. That's a conference hosted by CMN, Children's Miracle Network, every single year where they take all the leaders. And then we have a couple days of fundraising tactics and different events that happen. And then our advertising for our main event shirts in that budget line. Next. OPS. Executive director is the only one that gets paid. So that's there. Main event is just a little bit of a decrease just due to that OPS. So we have our arena rental, production, event operations, event entertainment, and then event catering as well in there. And then special projects, we just break it down into 3 different things. Champions Challenge, which I mentioned is our largest spring fundraising push. We have our KT kickoff event, and then our dance marathon experience as well that kicks off our fall fundraising push. And that's all. Any questions?
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions, Samila?
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right. There's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Thank you very much. All right. Next is the Multicultural Student Center here. And they might, yes. All right. Great. We're getting so ahead of schedule. This is fantastic. All right, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
We did make slight updates to our PowerPoint, but that should be reflected. Righty. Good morning, everyone. My name is Naisha Francois. I am the student director of the Multicultural Student Center agency here on campus. Hi. I will also be presenting on behalf of LGBTQ+ student support services as well. Next slide, please. Our mission at MSC is exploring cultures and expanding minds. We do this by promoting and producing inclusive and intentional programming that in turn encourages educational exploration that intersects identities, including, but not limited to, sexuality, race, spirituality, and /or gender identity. Slide, please. Highlighting UCF's inclusivity. UCF is 1 out of 9 institutions total that will be awarded the Seal of Excellencia by 2027, which means institutions that intentionally serve Latino students while serving, all demonstrating purposeful alignment across three core areas of data, practice, and leadership. 49.1% of UCF students are a member of traditional underrepresented groups, including more than 20% of UCF students are also first gen. Next slide, please. MSC directly serves these populations through events, collaboration, and tabling opportunities, and providing resources. Students feel supported not just through the university, faculty, or staff, but also through interactive programming that puts them and their identities at the forefront. Next slide, please. Righty, going into our programming, due to the ever-increasing influx of students arriving to UCF each year, MSc and LGBTQ+ services provide intentional and engaging programming that educates and represents students of various identities. Like our past Taste of UCF resulted in over 1,600 student attendance, and Lavender Nights 1,800+ student attendance as well. LGBTQ+ service mission includes engaging and supporting students by allowing them to feel welcome on campus and included in campus life, by providing space and community connections. And as for MSc, our programming, our goal is to bridge the gaps between our RSOs and our services and allowing them a bigger platform to showcase their work that they do here on campus. Going into all of our amazing, impactful programming, all starting from summer of 2025 up until now, with Taste of the Holidays that we did in collaboration with Rose in Life, Rocky Horror with LGBTQ+ services and CAB, also Philo Fest, Rocky Horror, as mentioned before, mid-autumn. We do a lot of cultural impact programs that help reflect our diverse population here on campus. It is the bulk of our Pride work, and every event that we do, students come to us expressing their gratitude, appreciation, and they truly feel loved through these events because they're able to showcase their culture and find a community here on campus as well. Next slide, please. Here are additional pictures from our programming. Next slide. And these are a list of our plethora of sponsorships and partnerships that we did throughout this past year. If you want to take a moment to look at them, but yes, it's okay. Next slide. This is a reflection of our budget this past year. Not too much changes, less than 1% going into the upcoming year, which I'll get into details soon. Next slide, please. So reflecting our 2026-2027 budget changes, there an increase in student assistant, reflecting the minimum wage from $14 to $15. There's a less than 1% change regarding our programming and operations, programming of 0.6% and operations of 0.8%. There also is a request for the increase of MRIS salary, which is our LGBTQ+ program coordinator. Through this, $2,000 was reduced from Lavender Nights programming and allocated towards the salary increase. This increase was recommended by Human Resources. And reflecting our reoccurring wish list, starting off with Taste of Downtown, which occurs during Pegasus Palooza every school year at our downtown campus in partnership with Downtown Student Life. The bulk of this event features food trucks we try our best to feature as many regional cultures as we can, but there's so many cultures out there, you can only do so much. So we do request an increase of $1,000 for this programming event. This past year, we were only able to feature 3 food trucks due to a last-minute cancellation. So with this increase of our budgeting for Taste of Downtown, we were able to include more food trucks to highlight a broader cultural aspect food-wise. And then going into our operations of an increase of $3,000, this will go towards the cultural center where we offer an immense amount of amenities and refreshments. I will go into more details on what we offer and cater towards in the cultural center, not just yet. Thank you. And then going into Lavender Night, an increase of $3,000 to also reflect the foot traffic that we receive every year. Also, in turn, will help cover the cost for arena rental, PD, and performances for the event. So in the Cultural Center, there was a renovation that happened in the summer of 2023 to revamp the space and create a much more open, friendly, and interactive environment here on campus. The design resulted in a 75% increase in foot traffic since 2022. The Cultural Center housed over for 30 to 40 RSLs here on campus, and each year we find ourselves housing more and more RSLs, which is a great thing because it makes them much more accessible here on campus, and students are able to become much more connected with the RSLs from the events that are happening on campus and how to get involved student leadership-wise. Next slide, please. Also in the cultural center to help market it more to allow students know that, hey, this space on campus does exist and it's open to our entire student body to utilize. We would have our cultural center soirees. Recently, we had our study soiree for finals week where students can come in with light refreshments, just another study space to utilize throughout finals week. And there was an 85% increase in attendance since fall of 2023 through these events. And then here are some pictures from that event. And then also, we have to give kudos to our social media team. We have realized a great increase in our marketing and engagement throughout the year. Our biggest hit was Philo Fest with over 53,000 views and engagement. And then going into our APAC Assembly, Taste of UCF, Sauce Under Stars, and Taste of Downtown. This was also another goal of ours to increase engagement marketing-wise, because in the world that we live in, technology advancements are on the rise, and we want to be able to keep up with that through our social media engagements. And as you can see, there was quite the increase, so kudos to our marketing directors for working so hard on ensuring that MSC has a platform on social media. And here are the data from that. Next slide. And of course, our LGBTQ plus services. This past fall with their Lavender Night with the 1,800 attendance, their Resource Fair, 400 attendance, Munch and Mingle Speed Friending, Rocky Horror, personal favorite. And then this past spring with their All Gender Love event, Chroma Culture, Pride Prom, and their Lavender Celebration every spring. And also another look at their programming. Once a month, they would have Pride Chats and Reading the Rainbow, a nice twist to book club. And then their average attendance is from 25 to 35 attendees. Next slide, please. And yeah, open for questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Now open it to questions. Wanja.
I have a question for you and then likely one for the entity. I just want to confirm, did you send out the guidance that the hourly rate for student directors was supposed to be increased?
Yes.
Okay. Then to the entity, is there a reason that the student director's pay does not seem to have raised from $15?
That hasn't raised from $15?
It currently shows $15 hourly rate, no increase at this moment in time, unless I'm looking at something wrong, and it looks the same on the screen next to me too.
Yeah, there isn't an increase in the student director's salary. Unless I can defer to.
Hi, good morning. Dr. Edwana Andrews, Assistant Vice President. When we were reviewing the materials, we did not recall receiving an email saying that the student director salary would increase by $1 per to 16 an hour. So if we did not get that, so apologize. We can certainly make that adjustment now.
I mean, to my knowledge, it was like a provision. It wasn't mandatory to go up. So if an entity believes it wasn't necessary, does that always mean they have to go up?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
No. I was just saying that my understanding of the language, it wasn't a mandatory increase. It was you can increase up to $1, but it wasn't a must do. So if an entity believes that they're happy with the salary rate, they could keep it as such.
It was a guideline that we were giving. Yes. Yes. Wanja.
Yeah, I was just going to say it was guidance the committee gave as far as I'm aware, and that I thought the committee determined that we wanted to keep student director pay the same rate across the board on agencies. And that's been the conversation I've had every time I've talked to somebody about it. So yeah, I guess if we would like to make that adjustment now, that would be nice.
Okay, I'm gonna unlock the sheet so we can. Okay. Is it just the? Yeah, just the student director. Is that the 16 an hour, the dollar increase, and then the hour? Okay. Yes. So if we were to increase the student director pay by up to from $15 to $16 an hour, it brings that OPS to about $130,555. The total variance is at about 1.2%. So what we can do. Throw that in the wish list.
Where is it?
I'm trying to figure out what to do.
It would fit in 1,000, right?
It-
That's like $940.
Well, we're over that now. But Samila and Hamid.
Question for the entity. In regards to your operations, you have an increase of $3,000. Would you be willing to decrease that a bit to compensate for the increase in OPS? Should I refer to you or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we change something and then add it just back into the recurring wish list and then?
I'm gonna hear what Hamid have to say first. Sorry.
So what if I said I was going to say the exact same thing?
Oh.
No, it's okay. But we could just put like 1,000 into the recurring thing, right?
Into
Like
the wish list? Yeah. Okay, so basically what we have is we threw basically the amount, about $1,000 that increase would cause into the recurring wish list. And then at the end of our budget hearing, we're going to have a conversation about all entities' recurring wish list requests at once. And then we will let, at the end of it, we'll let you know like if we were able to accommodate for that $1,000 increase. It appears that
Dr. Andrews, yes.
Thank you. It was brought to our attention that in our for our graduate assistants, we budgeted them at $15,000 each, and they should be at $14,000 for fall, spring, and summer. So that would be the additional $2,000 that we can look at taking.
Is that like a confirmed thing that they're down to 14,000?
Yes, mhm. It's kind of flat. They get the tuition, partial tuition waiver, and then the stipend. So it's a total of $21,000 per grad assistant between the stipend and the tuition waiver.
Okay. So if I just threw the numbers in there, if we put the stipends from 15,000 to 14,000 and then accommodated for that increase for up to $16,000, that puts you at less than 1%. So I believe that solves the problem. So, Samila.
Just make sure you delete the OPS increase in the wish list.
Oh, yeah, it's gone.
Okay. I just thought it was still there, so I want to make
You're good. All right. I'm glad we figured that out. Wanja?
Just gonna make the motion to officially do that as the committee. So move to adjust the graduate assistant stipend to 14,000 and the student director hourly rate to 16 an hour with the $1 increase.
All right. There's been a motion to do what Wanjan just said. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that is done. All right. Any other comments about MSC? Courts.
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right. There's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections?
Sorry.
You withdraw.
Yeah.
Miller.
Just make sure, since we did technically vote on it, change it in the Excel.
Yes.
Sorry.
It'll
That's
get-
it.
it'll get
Now go ahead.
Wait, sorry guys, there's one more comment from Dr. Andrews.
Sorry. With all of the adjustments that just happened, with us being able to take care of the salary increase, could we kind of keep the wish list on the table for MSC? Just wanted to put that out there publicly.
Yes. So everything in the wish list, that the $7,000 in the wish list, we're gonna take into account at the end of our hearing, and then I'll like send out an email about what we were able to accommodate for. Courts.
Motion to move to the next entity.
There's been a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now there. Thank you very much. All right. It is changed. We are going to move on to student government legislative branch. We're just gonna see what we can get done before noon. And that change is made in the spreadsheet. All right, whenever you are ready, you may begin.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kirsten Courts. I serve as the Senate President.
I'm Jason Amina. I serve as Senate President Pro Tempore.
And this is our presentation on the Student Government Legislative Branch. So,
All right. So our branch, our mission. So we are to be representatives and advocates of the student body, and we're committed to the needs of the university by facilitating change and shaping university policies surrounding the financial, social, and cultural needs of the university community. So below we have our 7 committees. We have split them into fiscal and internal ones. So the first one we have is the Conference Registration and Travel Committee, the Financial Allocations for Organizations Committee, the Operations Review and Standards Committee. Then for internal committees, we have the Elections and Appointments Committee, the Governmental Affairs and Policy Committee, the Legislative, Judicial, and Rules Committee, and the Student Body Advocacy Committee.
okay, so our first fiscal committee that we're talking about is the CRT Committee, which is Conference Registration and Travel. It provides funds to individual students or RSOs to pay for conference fees, conference registration, travel fees, or lodging. And this year it was $520,000 for OPS. There wasn't, after the increase, it was only 0.1%. So I took the extra 4,000 and I put it into CRT to hopefully give more money to give students allocation. So that's why there's a little bit of a change, and we're asking for 524,000 this year.
All right, our next one is the Senate Working Fund for FAO. Last year it was $260,000. We are still asking for $260,000. Not much has changed. FAO is always doing great.
Okay. The next thing that we have is the Speakers Initiative Fund, which allows the Senate President to allocate funds towards Senate-led initiatives. I'm not going to change that from the 500. It was a really good implementation last session, and I would like to see the 500 carry on. And then for professional development, we're keeping that at 6,500, and that would go towards Senate Retreat, Senate Banquet, and Big 12 events.
And then we have materials and supplies. So this goes to like our Senate polos, our SLC uniforms, all of the name tags for our chairs and vice chairs, and also to all of our merchandise. And then I believe we're still keeping it at $4,000.
And then operations, supplies, and services, that'll stay at 500. That helps to fund like whiteboard markers for our whiteboards, obviously, and any printing supplies, I suppose. Another change that we have is OPS. We have 13 paid positions. All of them are going up except for Senate President. I believe that that is fine at 16, and I don't think it needs to be adjusted. Last year was 64,187, and then there's going to be an increase for minimum wage, which is $4,323, putting us at $68,510. And then for the total, taking all of that into account, we are asking for $864,010. And then as for our wish list.
All right, so our first wish list item is to add $20,000 to the registration and travel, which is for the CRT committee. The reason why is I'm pretty sure a lot of our senators can attest to this, that everything is getting more expensive when it comes to like hotels, traveling. CRT consistently gets through its money very quickly. which leaves a lot of students without funds to go present their research, go to, different things that they need for their education to help their resumes and help their future careers. So we believe that adding 20,000 more to that account will help start to offset some of the costs that are impacting those different areas.
All right, and then our other wish list item would go into materials and supplies. The legislative branch has done a lot of outreach initiatives this year, be that on main campus. We've had an event at Rosen. We're currently working on downtown, but we expect this trend to continue. So this would help account for any merchandise that we wish to have, as well as anything else. We also gained 3 more seats for the next session, and this would account for polo costs as well, because those are also getting more expensive. And that is it. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for the legislative branch? Wanja?
Not a question, discussion point. This is more once we get through probably all the SG stuff, but I want to flag that I would like to talk about the speaker pay, especially if we approve EC to raise their supervisor up to $17 an hour, which I know they're requesting in their wish list. I think since the student body president's being lowered down to 17, the chief justice is 17. Especially if we approve the EC supervisor to be 17, the speaker should be 17 as well.
I agree with that.
All right. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Benitez.
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right, is there a motion to move to the next entity? We will come back to that point at the end. Are there any objections? Seeing none. All right, thank you very much. All right, next up. Executive branch. Yeah, it should be not the presentation. Not whenever you're ready.
Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to go over the Student Government Executive Branch budget for the fiscal year 2026-2027. My name is James Drinkwater, and I serve as the comptroller.
My name is Jerry Benitez, and I serve as the student body vice president.
Good morning. Thank you guys for being here. I'm Lucy Blanco, student body president. All right, we'll get this thing started. So just a brief overview into what we do. I think it's best represented if we categorize in 3 different things. First off, we implement campus-wide initiatives to benefit the student experience. This is done through a various amount of programming and advocacy-related events. We also represent students on key issues regarding the university. This takes place through different committees and student engagement to make those decisions. And the last piece is driving positive change through advocating for opportunities of leadership and collaboration.
So the executive branch focuses more on the programming aspect of student government, while other branches really represent the student voice, whether it comes to legislation, conference travel, judicial review, etc. So executive branch, these are some of our key events that we host. Midnight Breakfast, which was very much a success that this happened last week. Cultural events such as Cultural Fusion Fest. And then we also partner a lot with the Multicultural Student Center, did the Capitol, Universal Nights. This year we incorporated our inaugural Frost Warning, which was by far a successful event that was in partnership with UCF Athletics, with the help of Shane as well, and the university, because it was during the inaugural Space Week. So that event had over 1,000 students alone in front of the arena, and then a lot more in Memory Mall for the drone show. And then those are just a couple more listed right there: as Jones Tour, Winter Wonderland, Lift Code, Scantrons, etc.
All right, so I'm going to walk you through just as a high level of our proposed budget for the next fiscal year. Anything where you see our highlighting green or red is where there's any adjustments made. Anything else has remained the same. A few noticeable things: OPS increasing by 6,000, operations around 6,400, student initiatives decreasing by 14,000, and then removing the president-elect transition fund. spring event, also known as Universal Nights, increasing by 5,000, and then allocating a new line for caucuses with an overall variance of 0.93%. Next slide, please. And then moving into the first two lines of changes being OPS and operations. So we reduced the president's rate by 0.5 cents and then increased a few others to get up to the minimum wage requirement, and then increased admin rates by 0.5% and director and coordinator rates by $1. Then one important note, we reduced the operation, or we increased operations by quite a bit. We just basically moved the amount that we were spending on travel, like Big 12 on the Hill, Big 12 conference, rally and tally, things like that, from the reserve and admin expenses, because those are travel expenses and should be more allocated to the operations as a specific budget line or category for that. Next slide, please. And then under student initiatives, so why the decrease of 14,190 is basically just the transition of the caucuses line, $2,500 to another budget line, and then the $10,000 from to operations. It's only about a $6,000 difference just because we already spent some money already on travel from the operations budget. And then our spring event, we increased by $5,000, which is Universal Nights. So this year we spent $243,000 on that through some negotiations. Thank you to Shane. So just due to the rising costs, we figured it'd be really smart to keep it around $245,000. So we're not pulling any other amount from student initiatives. And then we remained governmental affairs at the same. Our governmental affairs coordinator, Ali DeMarco, she's been putting on some amazing events this year, this semester, and continue to do so in the spring semester. So we've been really seeing a good turnout with those. Next slide, please. And then to the final two things that we changed, which was the transition fund. We removed that. I spoke with the past few president-elects, and there wasn't really too much that was being used for that. So we thought it'd be better to use that in other specific areas more beneficial to the student body. And then for caucuses, we originally had $2,500 allocated within the student initiatives budget last year. So we moved that to their own line just to make it more better reflect how caucus initiatives are going forward. And just that way it's a little bit more clear and understanding of how that money is getting allocated and exactly how much it is. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can take those now.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, discussion for the executive branch?
This is more of a question for whoever can answer because of the OPS budget packet hourly increase and reduction thing. It looks like the directors and coordinators were set up a lot more like what we've done in the past, where we have the 12 weeks at one rate and the 31 weeks at another rate. Because of that, do we need to be removing the reduction that's on that 31-week one that totals out to $852.50?
I wasn't entirely sure about the reductions. I had added those in there. I assumed those formulas had worked correctly.
Yes.
But I did separate those because those were the two positions that weren't at that minimum wage increase yet. So those are the ones why those are separated, where the other ones are just on a full, 35 or 42, 45 week period.
Yeah. So what we created, I know we're at the meetings where we talked about it. The hourly reduction and where you put the hourly increase or the decrease, it basically took into account how many months it's at minimum wage for this year and then moves to the next year, so that we would not have to have duplicates in the spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So we can.
If you take the reduction out.
If you just remove the deductions from the bottom two, it'll.
I'm thinking that would do it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we'll
it shouldn't be too much of a difference.
Yeah. So we'll just remove the reduction on that, and then it'll be
okay.
Perfect. So,
thank you.
Let me. All right. Any quotes?
Motion to move to the next entity.
All right. We will handle this, but for now, there's a motion to move to the next entity. Are there any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to mine. We'll move on to, very quickly, we'll run through my presentation, the budget committee. Might have copied legislative exact thing. I just took the logo off. All right. Hey everyone, this is the Student Government A&SF Budget Committee presentation. I'm gonna go real quick through this. Mission: we allocate funding to students through this committee and through the budget hearing process, and then we formulate it all into a budget bill, and the Senate votes on it. The budget changes from last year: OPS went up, so operations went down. Last year was at 1,400. Now it's at 1,300. Our operations budget is for food. Our OPS went from 800 something to $907. And the total is $2,207, which is a decrease from last year because the food is mainly, the budget was accounted for multiple days. And now with the new model, it's been about one day. So we do not need food for all 3 days. So that's my presentation. Any questions for me? Similar than Hamid.
For the food, is that like equivalent for 2 days, or did you like completely cut it to 1 day?
So it was at 1,400. I just moved it down $100 just to account for the OPS thing to 1,300. For today, it was about a little under 700. So that's about one. It is more than is probably necessary. It would cover like a breakfast for the next day, for like a Tuesday if needed. So that's why I kept it there, but very open to changes. Hamid?
Motion to move to the next entity.
Is there a motion to move to the next entity? Are there any objections? Seeing none, this one is complete. Okay, so right now we're at a point where we've done all the agencies. So that's great. We are not going to do the A&SF Business Office and the Ticket Center until after lunch because Director Pavlonis can be here at 1 p.m. He's wishing to speak at that. And then Judicial, Chief Justice Pizarro is going to get here at 1:20. I moved her up. Unfortunately, Supervisor Presley cannot be here until at least 3. So what we can do is have the non-recurring conversation between that time, and we can just change around our schedule. Gotcha. Yeah. So we're going to move around a few things, and we're going to talk about the wish lists. We're going to try to talk about them as much as we can. I know Election Commission does have wish list things. I see there's some hands.
Could we talk about what Katrina brought up earlier, the pay for the speaker, since we have like 18 minutes?
Yeah, we can have that conversation now. Did you do the reduction on the executive? No. Okay. Courts and then Smilla.
Right. So here's my idea. Take some of it from what I added from CRT and just put it into the $1 increase for the speaker. It'll still keep us at 1%.
I'm going to unlock those pages and we will do that. Smilla.
I don't know if I want to say this. Okay, this is going to be a hot take, but I do believe that the student government president should be getting paid more than the other branch heads because they have a position on the board of trustees. Not to say that like you guys don't deserve it, but like you said in your presentation, 16 was well more than enough. So in my opinion, I think if anything, the other branch heads should go to like 1650, and then we can change the one, and then we'll have enough to make her have a 50-cent increase. Just because, yeah, that's my opinion, though.
Okay. I'll just add context for kind of the decision making behind keeping my pay rate at 17. I'm flattered that you recognize the hard work and dedication that goes into this role, and serving on the board is quite the responsibility. I just felt as though given this year with only a 1% increase, I wanted to be conscientious of our other entities and other branches that have really important needs. And I felt comfortable keeping it at $7. So obviously if there's room in the budget to increase that, I'd love to see that for, the successor in years to come. However, I think to be respectful of everyone and making sure that other people can get their needs catered to. There's a lot of important wish list items here. That's why James and I had that conversation to keep it at 17.
Yeah, what I was saying is keeping it at 17, but just taking the other branch heads down to 1650, just because they are a board of trustee, and Kristen already kind of explained that she truly believes that 16 is enough as a speaker. So if we did want to increase it just to make them kind of all even, then maybe we can just go to 1650, because I know the other branch is requesting 17 as well. But if we bring that down 50 cents and then add the 50 cents to the other branch, we don't have to move anything else around.
Yeah. I will say that really quickly, we can take, I did get the notification that lunch is ready. So we can take the break to kind of also play around with the numbers in the spreadsheet just to make sure that everything's accounted for, and we can fix the executive OPS and throw some numbers in the spreadsheet. So before we recess, is there anything anyone would like to say? Courts, Hamid, Wanjan?
And just kind of to piggyback off of what Kylie was saying, but also Katrina, as long as speaker is getting paid as much as all of the other branch heads, except for the student body president, I'm fine with anything. Just want the committee to know that.
Me.
As this became a larger conversation than I intended, maybe we should wait for the Chief Justice and the supervisor to all be here so we can kind of ask them why they decided that 17 was appropriate and then kind of go from there.
I guess I'll kind of speak to what Hamid said real quick. I know that EC specifically in their explanation on their wish list page said that they're increasing the extra dollar increase for supervisor and assistant is specifically to align with other branch heads. So I think EC would be fine as long as it was the same as the speaker and the judicial branch, and I assume judicial is just the dollar increase. But I was also going to note that EC's increases that way are part of the recurring wish list. So technically that's a recurring wish list conversation.
All right. Right now I'm going to motion to recess this meeting at 11:46 a.m. We will come back at 1 p.m.